Hey guys, what's going on? It's Asher coming at you today in Clash Royale. I hope this video finds you doing well. We're going to share a new Hog deck with you guys that I really like. It's going to be played by my main man, NoVoid, who's been dominating. He's won several 10K tournaments that I host 3 times a week. Join my Discord server for notifications. This is the deck, guys. If you don't have Flying Machine, you can sub in the old Trifecta Musketeer in that spot. It has 3 spells. If you don't have Giant Snowball, you can sub in Arrows or Zap, but Giant Snowball, even a little bit under-leveled, actually works out great in this deck. We'll talk all about the deck, guys, but for now, I just want to hop into a live battle and give some stabbies on this guy. So we're going to go ahead and send in a Hog Rider, and we're just going to go ahead and send in a log here afterwards. I always hover log, obviously, on my very first Hog attack of the match. So here, we're just, oh, he's going to pump. We're just going to place down the tombstone here and kind of hope for the best. We're going to have to cycle to a fireball, but it's going to take me a minute to get there. So he places a knight behind his tower. I'm just going to answer with a Valkyrie behind mine. I do need to trophy push a little bit if I'm going to be doing these live matches. We'll send in that fireball there. Don't know what that deck this dude is playing. So P.E.K.K.A, interesting. P.E.K.K.A, Knight, and we don't know exactly what he's playing yet. So I don't want to be super aggressive. He already knows I'm playing some sort of a Trifecta type deck with Valkyrie and Hog Rider. So the Tombstone does great. Obviously, he has the P.E.K.K.A, which is going to be a great counter to my Hog Rider. But, oh, 3 Muskies. Oh, boy. All right. We don't have Fireball in rotation, but we're going to do just fine here. We can cycle to a Valkyrie. So let's use a Giant Snowball on the left. You can see a Giant Snowball does a great job there, just cleaning up everything in the left lane. And then we're going to use a Valkyrie here in the right. So, right, let's get her down. Okay, so look at the Valkyrie, man. She is so strong. Valkyrie OP, guys. I don't care what anybody says. Valkyrie's insane right now in this game, and that's why these type of Hog Valkyrie decks are viable again. I'm going to go ahead, as you saw, send in that Fireball there because we're not going to be saving the Fireball for the 3 Muskies. We have plenty of options for 3 Muskies, namely the Valkyrie, as you saw there. So he's going to play a Knight again in the back. We're just going to go ahead and answer with... Well, he has a huge elixir lead at this point, guys, so I have to be very careful on defending this push. I need value out of my Musketeer, and I need to cycle back to my Fireball. Excuse me, my Valkyrie. There is no Musketeer in this deck, Ash. I need value on my Valkyries against the 3 Musketeers is what I meant. All right, we're going to drop down a Tombstone here, and then we're going to have to cycle to Fireball. It's only 2 cards away here, so let's log. Let's Fireball... Let's Fireball left and then Valkyrie right here, guys. I think that feels like the right decision, and it looks like it's going to indeed be one. Wow, that was huge because, again, he had a big elixir lead on me up until that point. So now in double elixir time, I'm a big fan of almost always sending in the Snowball with my Hog, even if I'm not sure what they're going to counter with, because even against tanky units, it just buys me some time with the pushback in the Ice Vortex. I know I'm in the minority here, guys, but I do think that Giant Snowball is a really good card. I hear some people giving it hate in the comments. I don't know. What do you guys think about the card? I love it. I don't think it should be played alone, but as an additional spell, like in a deck like this, 3-spell deck. 1 second here, let me concentrate. We're going to Valkyrie on the left this time because of all those goblins and crap coming down. Then, sorry for the, oh, look at the Fireball value. Surprisingly, this deck actually cycles pretty quickly, and he made a mistake there thinking I didn't have Fireball in hand. Well, I did because I used Snowball, not Fireball in the opposite lane earlier. At least I think I did. I'm already losing track of this match. So now we're in a huge advantage, and you guys can see already just how strong this deck is. He's gonna pump up. I'm still gonna, I don't have to Fireball at this point. I can just save my Fireball if I want to. I'm gonna save the Fireball for these Muskies right here. No reason to rush with the 3 minutes of overtime now, guys. No reason at all. And we'll just Valky on the left here. And, oh, look at the Flying Machine does connect for 1 hit on the right. That was pretty big. I think I'm going to send in the Hog, like, in the middle over here. That way I can get a little bit of log. Okay, I was hoping I could maybe take out a Goblin or 2. But, hey, I sent in the Snowball, and we get the victory there. And you guys can see just how effective this deck can be. Of course, again, I was going up against a level 12. I do need to push a little bit more if I'm going to do these live attacks. So, you know, apologies there, but you guys can see the mechanics of the deck. Now we'll see the deck against some of the best players in the world, including the RF God, the God RF, excuse me. He is amazing. He's on my wish list of players that I want to get on this channel. He absolutely tore it up in the NA Combine in LA a couple weeks ago. Man, he was incredible, just incredible, beating everybody all the way up until the end. So the God RF, such a good player, so no better player to start out with than watching a replay against him here. And you can see NoVoid on the top this time, but like I said in the beginning of this video, NoVoid has beaten a lot of pro players. It's funny, NoVoid, originally, I didn't even know that he was that good. I'll just be honest with you guys. But then he kept tearing it up in my tournaments, and it's really cool to find players still 2.5 years into this game who previously I hadn't heard of. I wasn't aware of NoVoid before he started dominating in all my tournaments, and now I really consider him an amazing player. I've seen him consistently just place top 5, top 3 in 1,000-man tournaments with a lot of pro players. So huge props to NoVoid, and that's why he's here in this video. So here we go. Just defending is the God RF. They have kind of similar decks in the fact that they both have the defensive Tombstone, and they're both around the same cost. Of course, the support card, they both have Valkyrie as well, but the win conditions are different here. And the God RF has the Balloon and also the Inferno Dragon. There's another version of this deck that's being played, excuse me, by the God RF. By the way, this is the 12th game of a Grand Challenge right now that you're watching. And it has Freeze instead of Giant Snowball, but as I told you guys, a lot of pros are experimenting and having success with the Zap and Giant Snowball in the same deck for the knockback effect, the freeze effect, and also comboing them both in some rare circumstances in double elixir time to get tremendous value. And here we go. This time the Balloon does not reach that tower, just barely misses it there. And now let's do some play-by-plays. So let's talk, well, let's finish this match, and then in the next match we'll talk about a little bit about starting moves and about pacing in this deck, the differences between single elixir time and double elixir time when playing this deck. So here we go. It's going to be NoVoid placing down a Flying Machine. And why Flying Machine over Musketeer? Flying Machine is sneaky really good in this deck, and if you guys haven't noticed, I'm sure you have, we have Flying Machine and Mega Minion, two of the strongest air defensive cards in the game, and Flying Machine does a much better job of baiting out the Fireball. Once you bait out their big spell, you can be way more aggressive, clumping up your Valkyrie, your Hog, and your Mega Minion after the fact. So you can kind of, early on in these matches, get a feel for what big spells your opponent has. After you realize what spells they have, you can work around them using the Flying Machine as kind of a bait on your side. If they don't have a big spell like this circumstance, well, you can get tremendous value out of your Mega Minion and your Flying Machine, making sure you always keep at least one of them in your cycle for defense. This time, a rare mistake by the God RF, placing that Tombstone just a second too late or too low, and the Hog avoids it, so he gets to the tower, putting NoVoid in a small advantage here, but this match is far from over. Wait till you see what the God does, guys, in the right lane coming up in, I don't know, 30 seconds or so, if I remember correctly. This is a big push here, but very good defense by RF, using a defensive miner, a snowball, and a tombstone, everything that he possibly can. The Hog still gets one hit onto that left tower, but really, really strong defense in a situation where, honestly, I thought the tower was down. I thought the match was going to be over at that point. So RF puts an Inferno Dragon right there at the bridge there, and NoVoid quickly responds with both of his air troops. So again, a big push coming in here from NoVoid. Again, a Hog, a Mega Minion, and a Flying Machine. And again, that Hog gets one swing on the tower. The spectators know they're not happy about it. Sad face, laughing face, but here it comes. I told you the match wasn't over. Check out this push, guys. It's going to be a big minor balloon push. Tombstone is going to go ahead and fall to that balloon. Balloon's going to get not one hit, but two hits. NoVoid forced to cycle to a Flying Machine there. And look at that clutch zap coming through from NoVoid. Unfortunately, even with 162 damage left on that right tower, he didn't have a big spell, and the left tower was already into spell log plus fireball cycle distance or range. So very, very good match though from really two great players. Let's watch this one next against a bait deck, the new Zap bait deck that you're seeing without Mega Knight. I want to see, and this one has won a lot of recent Grand Challenges, so if you're big Zap bait Skeleton Barrow players, you might want to try this deck out by Dr. Moses. So let's talk a little bit about this deck. We went right into a live match and we didn't really talk about how it works, how you guys should be playing it. Again, the two substitutions are going to be either arrows or zap for Giant Snowball, but I would recommend using Giant Snowball even if it is just a little bit under leveled. And the other recommendation is going to be, again, if your flying machine is under leveled, you can just use Musketeer in that spot and it would be just a very strong defensively oriented trifecta deck. So here we go again. Against this matchup is going to be beautiful because we have both the Log and the Valkyrie here. So you can see we have no trouble with these swarmy decks, which are seemingly everywhere right now, whether it be the Mortar Swarm decks or just these Skeleton Barrel Swarm decks. Swarm is definitely back in the meta, and same thing with just bait decks, just Princess, old school Goblin Barrel bait, which we need to do on the channel. It's been maybe a week or two since we've had a good bait player. We need the bait god back on the channel. What do you say, guys? Either way, starting plays in this deck, you can send in the Hog as your starting play and just do what I did. You can hover your Log or hover your Giant Snowball. You can be a little bit more aggressive with your predictive Logs and predictive Snowballs, because the fact that you have two small spells in this deck and Fireball to boot, it gives you a little bit more flexibility. If you make a wrong prediction play, you still have two spells to help you out, to lean on if your opponent tries to punish you for using your predictive Log or your predictive Giant Snowball and missing. Giant Snowball, again, just a final word on Giant Snowball is, against swarms, you just get so much value. Giant Snowball plus Princess Tower can totally counter a minion horde. That's a lot of value, a 2-for-5 trade. I'm a big fan of the spell, especially the knockback effect, which you see right there on your screen, guys. Because of that knockback, we got 1 or maybe even 2 extra hits from that Hog Rider. And then defensively, look at how good of a combination here just having that Tombstone and the Flying Machine is. We were able to totally shut down what could have been a really lethal counter push here. So really well done. And you guys can just see on these tiny exchanges, on these defensive and offensive exchanges, that when you play your cards correctly, the more you play this deck, the more comfortable you'll get with it, as always. And it just plays itself. And I say that a lot here. I said this on the last video too, but you just always know, you'll always have an option. This is one of those decks that you never find yourself with, oh crap, I don't have a counter in my hand. You feel like you always have that counter, and then you just keep attacking after you defend with the Hog Rider. It's as simple as that. It's kind of like a tug-of-war type deck. You defend, you go in. You defend, you can go in. In this deck, you can manufacture a lot of positive elixir advantages off of your strong defensive components. So here we go again, going into overtime again. This is a deck that will go into overtime, and look at that Log. Beautiful Log. Took out the Skeleton Barrel, then went on to take out some goblins and a bunch of other stuff, taking down that left tower. Let's go ahead and watch this one against Toby. Excuse me. Actually, no, let's not watch that one. That was another balloon deck. We already watched a balloon deck. Let's go against the this one. The Hog 3 Musketeer deck against that guy from. Shout out to Nova Creators. So that guy from is playing a Hog 3 Muskie kind of cycle fast deck, and NoVoid is, you guys know what NoVoid is playing, so he's going to send in that Hog Rider. Other viable starting plays with this deck is if you don't have Hog in your starting hand, I would be very reluctant to cycling a Valkyrie. I would not make the Valkyrie or the Flying Machine my first plays with this deck. A Tombstone would be my #1 first play, a defensive Tombstone. Number 2 would be a Hog Rider. Number 3, the last case scenario, would be your Mega Minion. If for some reason you don't have any of those 3 cards in your starting hand, you can just wait for the opponent to make the first play, or send in a Log or a Snowball if you want to get kind of chippy and aggressive early on, see what your opponent does, because again, you do have that other small spell to kind of lean on after the fact. So here we go again, just taking that Fireball value against the Rascals. Rascals, I wouldn't be shocked if they get a nerf in the next balance change. They're just everywhere in the top percentage decks, both on ladder in Arena 12 and in Grand Challenges. They're just so strong. You almost always get value out of Rascals, even if your opponent has a Log. Just the bait potential, oftentimes you're able to get value even if they log it, you know? But anyway, here comes a Hog Rider coming in from that guy and we're able to easily stop it with the Tombstone there. We don't even have to answer against these minions. They will get like 1 little hit, but it doesn't matter. Look at how much damage you already have. This deck against other Hog decks is particularly strong. This deck against border decks are very strong. This deck against the meta is just very, very well-rounded and strong. There is no necessarily awful matchup with this deck, especially having the 3 spells. If you're playing a giant deck or a beatdown deck, what you want to do is just hit opposite lane as you would a normal hog deck, and defensively, you can rely on the Mega Minion, the Flying Machine, the Tombstone, and then the Valkyrie played at the bridge. One final note on the Valkyrie, guys, is that sometimes I notice people not doing this, and it's something that I probably should have mentioned earlier in the video, is that sometimes when you play your Valkyrie at the bridge against the support troops, it's important to be okay with leaking 1 or 2 elixir as you wait for those troops to be in the perfect positioning. I notice some people playing an early Valkyrie because they don't want to leak elixir. It doesn't happen a lot, but it's something that's a mistake. You'd rather actually get full value out of the Valkyrie than not using her at all or using her at the wrong time where she doesn't kill all the support troops. So it's very important. It doesn't apply to every scenario, but using your Valkyrie, and even if it means wasting 1 elixir, maybe it will happen throughout the course of this match. It looks like it's probably not going to, but I think we saw earlier in these replays that just using your Valkyrie at the right time is very, very important in this deck and when playing Valkyrie in any deck, guys. So here we go. It's going to be 10 seconds left. All we have to do is defend here, and you can see our towers are basically very close to full health. A few hundred off that right one, but you know, this deck defends so well, and that's the beautiful thing about it against another hog deck, that the hog really just can't get through, and NoVoid comes away with a relatively easy victory in a matchup that favors him too. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Really fun sharing these kind of new meta hog decks. I really enjoy it. Huge shout out to NoVoid. I will have his player profile linked in the description below on statsroyale.com. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Check out his information in the description below. Thank you, and as always, take care, guys.